Hello, my name is Drive, and this is my Sylvie guide for Urrak Market. My team currently holds the rank 1 timer for Urrak Market 50, and in this video I'm gonna show you how I healed that dungeon. I am gonna go over the talents I used, also over the route, and then I'm gonna go into a deep dive on how to navigate the trash and the problem that the trash throws at you, and I'm gonna do the same for the boss. This video has timestamps, so please go to the part that is interesting to you via the timestamps. I'm gonna first start by showing you my setup so you know exactly what I used to beat the dungeon. And I played with the bag legendary. I also used this talent setup, and for gems I was using this setup. My weapon has these weapon traits, and now that you know my setup, I would start by going over the talents that I used and why I used them. So at the start, when I started progressing this dungeon, I was first playing into Nurtured Haven because I thought it might be interesting to have our safe haven back more often, but over time, especially for the boss, I found out that Training Restoration is a very important talent to pick up, and I didn't have it before. This was the setup that I progressed most of the key with, and then towards the end, I just figured out that the last boss is really difficult to heal, especially the intermissions, and I switched over to Training Restoration, so I have my what I call Restore Life permanently up on the group. That really made a big difference. Otherwise, it's very important to pick up Verdant Restoration. It's just such an important talent that we should always pick up to be able to heal the tank. We need Natural Knowledge just for better mana management. We need Bluey's Gambit for better tank healing, and then on the boss for more tankiness on ourselves. Flower Power is just again such an important talent that we need to heal the boss at the end. Magic Ward to survive the AoEs a bit better, especially on the last boss. And then a really big part to surviving the trash in this dungeon is Natural Protector, because we have these outrunners that throw bowlers at us, and you can easily get one shot on this level by getting 2 bowlers to your face. So Natural Protector made our progression way easier on those pulls with outrunners. And then lastly, we want to pick up Elusive Wilding as a more as a talent that gives us more defensive power, especially for the AoEs on the last boss. There are really not any other considerations. That's kind of the setup that you have to run. Of course, you could go Nettle to the Pedal for more tank healing, but the real problem in this dungeon is mostly the end boss and your management of your healing cooldowns and your talents for that one. So this really costs too much points, because if we drop this one, the Natural Protector, we don't have the defensive power for the outrunners and the bowlers that they throw, and you will have lots of deaths to that. And you can't really drop any of your defensive talents. Flower Power is mandatory, Burden Restoration is mandatory. If you don't play Natural Knowledge, you will run out of mana, so that's mandatory as well. So you kind of only have one flex point, and as you can see, you can only go into a bit more defensive power, which you don't really need. You could go into Bloom and Boom Shrooms, which again, you don't really need. And Sprouting Nettles also not that interesting. So I feel like that's the best point you can spend here. Okay, now for a brief look at the route that we played. This is the website fellowroutes.app if you're curious, and I used it to sketch out the route that we played. Routes are always dependent on the affixes, and for this Urrak Markets 50 we had the affixes Stone Skin, so the trash had more health, and Ultimatum, so the bosses had more health. And we designed our route around that. So we used chickens to basically keep high priority and high health targets alive with the chicken for a long time, and then kited the chicken to the next pulse or into the boss for our second chicken here, to let it explode for huge stone skin value. So you can see we played this whole first area with one pull, then took the chicken over into the second pull, exploded it into that pull, then we jumped down to play pull 3, and then we went over to play pull 4. And as you can see, we tried to take as many totems as possible, because totems give really good count. They give 2.5% score, for basically free. So that's why we play like the first totem, we play the second totem, we jump down, play another totem, and then we move over and play another totem here, and then one last totem here. So that's how you see how we designed the route. And we also designed it around picking up these big gore-stained butchers because they have a lot of health, and we chickened them so we can take them into the next pack or the boss so we can explode them here. Alright, let's finally start with the actual key. You might have noticed that I'm playing the Cloak legendary instead of the Neck, and the main reason is that we did some A/B testing and we just found out or figured out that the Cloak just works much better for our tank in this key because the pulls live a long time with Stone Skin, and the Cloak is the only legendary that really provides additional toughness and durability to the tank. Let's look at the mobs that we have in this pull. We have a Desecrator that has the soak that we have to do with the Urrak slavers, with the circles that we need to move out of, and kicks. The chains need to be kicked. With the man catchers, we can't move out too far. That's why the Ardios and me are standing close, so we don't get grabbed back in, and we also spawn the soak circle kinda close. And you see me here using my safe haven with the shielding talent to help a bit with the soak, because there can be overlaps of the outrunners throwing their bowler at us and then us having to soak at the same time. What you also see us do here, or see me do here, is that we're focusing one Urrak slaver. Our reasoning behind this is that we want to kill him first, and then that his stone skin kills off the other Urrak slaver as well. This way we're saving a bit of time because we don't have to kill two Urrak slavers at the same time. We just have to kill one and he will kill the other one. As for tank healing in this pull, I was mostly weaving, so the damage intake wasn't too bad. I think the Cloak legendary helped a great deal with that, and I was, just as I normally would, just staggering my healing cooldowns, starting with my life petal and then some heart blooms. I was trying to time the heart blooms in a way that the heart bloom is at its maximum value when the first bowlers are going out, and that is precisely after the Grand Melee. In this group we're playing with the Helena, so we have Grand Melee. So I was trying to time my heart blooms so that the biggest ticks are going out when the Grand Melee ends and the first bowlers are being thrown. In the second pull here, we're actually focusing a Horn Seer, because in this pull we have two Horn Seers, which means two casters, and we want to focus one down quickly so we don't have to deal with two casters at the same time. We only have to kick one caster, because at the moment we need to not only do kicks but also stops to deal with all the casters. And in this pull, it doesn't feel that hard to heal. I'm just focusing on a little bit of tank healing, and I'm weaving again because the healing intake or the damage intake is not that high here in this pull. The Cloak is just really insane for tankiness on Helena. You really feel a big difference there. And now I'm grabbing the campfire here, and then I'm already pre-hotting the whole group, because when we jump down we see it's a pull with lots of outrunners here, and I want to make sure that every member of my group has hots on them, and I'm also then just trying to keep the group topped by using my weapon here at the start, and then already charging up big heart bloom here. And then I kept my safe haven. I got my safe haven back during the previous pull, but I kept it specifically for this pull here because we have so many outrunners, and you will see that I'm having here my heart bloom running, just constantly pumping heals just in case there is an overlap on someone, so that they get an instant tick of healing and hopefully survive the two bowlers. Otherwise I'm just weaving again on my tank here, just weaving in the restore lives and then in between the nettle bolts, and I just keep my life petals running in this way. You get so many more life petals by weaving, and they really make a big difference on the tank, or just healing the lowest player in your party. And then here again we use the same tech. We focus down one Urrak slaver, and then it kills off the other Urrak slaver and the totem. Now we're running over, and you see I tried to keep, or like to have, all my cooldowns ready. I have 2 life petals ready, 2 heart blooms, I have my ultimate ready, I have dice ready, I have everything ready. And here in pole, I want to stay behind these raiders, because the raiders have a frontal, so I want to make sure I don't get frontal here. I'm like carefully moving here, so I'm always behind the group, and then I'm starting to spam melee here. You see all pink butterflies are on me, and there's a reason for that. The reason is that I'm literally spam healing my tank here. This is a super difficult pull, and in my mind I just want to deplete my whole mana and do the maximum HP as possible just to keep the tank alive. And there's a good reason why I want to keep him that high. The reason why I want to keep him above 50% is a reason that comes from me, which is my gem setup. I'm running 6 in purple, and I crit 30% more with my heals if I keep my tank above 50. But my tank is also playing a certain weapon trait, a defensive trait. It's called King of the Hill, and he takes like around 10% less damage if I keep him above 80%. So that's why I'm spamming him here to try to keep him above 80%, just so he takes that 10% less damage again. You should always try to see what defensive talents or traits your tank is running before you started a key, so you know what you are working with, if you have to keep your tank above 80 or if it's fine to drop him a bit lower. So in the previous pull I used my ultimate, used all my cooldowns, and now we're coming to a pull where I have a bit less cooldowns available, but it's not that difficult of a pull. We have the mobs that we are familiar with. We have Urrak slavers, we have a horn seer, so we have a man catcher, so we don't want to be too far away, but we also don't want to be too close because the Urrak slavers are going to do their circle. And again, we're just weaving here, or I'm weaving here, just DPSing and healing at the same time, alternating each global. Sometimes if I feel that my tank's health bar is actually in a decent spot, I will just spam Nettle Bolt just to get the live pedals back a bit faster. So don't just blindly weave, always look at your tank's health bar. If you feel like your tank's health bar is not moving very much, just spam Nettle Bolt instead, just to build up some live pedals for the next pull or for a difficult situation later on in the boss fight or in the pull. Don't just blindly weave in restore lives or blindly spam restore life. Just always look at your tank's health bar. Look, is it moving fast? Is it moving slowly? And then make a decision based on that. So here we're grabbing the chicken. We want to explode the chicken onto the boss. So our Mara here will pick up one last flower that we need. It's on the other side, so he's waiting for the tank to pull here. And we see we have 2 man catchers and 3 outrunners. So as you can imagine, we need to be kind of close to the boss because of the man catchers. And there's 3 outrunners, so we get Bolaf rows, and they're quite dangerous if they're creating an overlap. But our tank is using Grand Meter here to stack them up, so we are fine for a bit. And here on this boss, it's very important to look at the cooldowns that are coming up from the boss. I'm always looking here at the cooldown tracker of the boss and then deciding what I'm going to do next. And the way we play this boss is that the furthest person always baits these scythes here. So I, as a healer, I'm standing in the spot that's furthest away from the boss, counter-clockwise, and I'm baiting all the scythes. You see all the scythes go to me, and my group instead stays melee, so they don't have any scythes on them. And for the Furious Tantrum, it's always coming twice per phase, and what I mean by phase is that the boss jumps to the middle and does the vortex. And for each tantrum, I'm trying to have some, like at least one Heart Bloom, but then also I'm layering something on top. So that will depend on what I have available, but usually I try to layer in on one of the tantrums my weapon, which I will have, because one cycle of the boss is 1 minute, so I have my weapon for at least one of the tantrums. And for the other one, where I don't have my weapon, I'm using either my safe haven, which I will have for every like second phase, basically, because it's 2 minutes cooldown and each phase is 1 minute, or I'm gonna use a dice. So that's the way I'm playing the tantrums. Then there's another mechanic that's very difficult, and that's the Tank Buster. And on the Tank Buster, you can alternate between your Bark Skin and your Root Sap. It's called Creeping Death. There's also 2 per phase, 2 Creeping Deaths per phase. And here on this one, I used Bark Skin, for example. You can see it's on cooldown. There was a Creeping Death coming up. Usually we get the Vortex then shortly after, and after the Vortex, there's usually shortly coming after another Creeping Death. You see it here, it's coming up. And then this one, I imagine I was root sapping ideally. Yep, root sap that one. So you always have some kind of damage reduction for your tank here, because this Creeping Death, that really hurts the tank. So always alternate here between your root sap and your Bark Skin on the tank for the Creeping Death. I know it's a lot of stuff to track. Probably takes it up a couple of tries to get familiar with tracking all of these abilities coming up. I think this is one of the more difficult bosses in this game, just cooldown tracking wise. There's one more mechanic that we have to deal with, and that's the soak that is coming up. I think it's 1 soak per phase, and it requires a defensive. In some groups the tank soaks this soak, but because I'm baiting kinda ahead of the group here, the soak can always also be on me, and that's really bad if the tank has to go for that one. So the way we deal with it is that we have the Mara hold their defensive and then Shadow Step on me and just take the soak always with the Mara defensive, and otherwise we are just pressing our defensives on AoE, on the AoE. You always will have your defensive up for every single tantrum. And now there's one last mechanic I want to talk to you about, and that's these vines on the ground. For the intermission with the Vortex, we have to stand on those vines to not get sucked in, and they do quite a bit of damage. And the way I deal with them is that I always keep my life pedals for this intermission. So you will see I will just not use them for anything else. I mean, here we're at the end of the fight, but if you watch the video and you go back in time and look at my cooldowns, you will see that I will always use my life pedals for this intermission, because I don't need them in between. Like in between there's only the tantrums, and I'm just healing this with Heart Bloom, and then I will just weave in some healing globals on my tank in between. But for this intermission here, I'm always using my life pedals, ideally 2, just to carry you through the intermission. You don't want to use your Heart Bloom here, because you need to hold your Heart Bloom for the tantrums. So that's the only other healing component you can use. That's the life pedal. You want to use those for the intermission. And that's how we timed our Urrak market. If you are interested in more content like this, then you are welcome to join my stream. I'm streaming almost every single evening, and you can find my Twitch link down below. My UI is also available for grabs. You can find a link also down below. And if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. This is part of a video series. I'm going to do a commentary like this for every dungeon. So if you're interested in that, you are welcome to subscribe. Otherwise, see you in the next video. Bye.